Hello, my name's Nicole and welcome to No, It's Crochet. I am back with another Crochet Swatch Saturday, and today we're going to be testing out the Loops and Threads Impeccable. And I gotta say, this might be one of my preferred acrylics. Now, you know how I feel about acrylics, but I'm going to give it a fair shot and we're going to see just on that initial kind of feel. I'm liking what I'm testing, so let's go over to the table and check it out, see what we think. All right, so we are here today with our Impeccable Loops and Threads. This is a Michaels brand yarn, and it is coming in at 285 yards for 127.5 grams. I know it's kind of weird that I do it that way, but it's the way I do it. This is established as a medium 4-weight yarn, so let's kind of pull it out of our stash here and see what we've got. There we go. And get our little gauge out. I would say that is pretty spot on for a medium 4-weight yarn. So we're going to go ahead with our 5mm Clover Amour hook. No, sorry, not Clover Amour. This is a Clover Soft Touch. I always say Clover Amour, but it is the Soft Touch. So very different crochet hooks, same manufacturer. And this is a 100% acrylic yarn, which, as if you're a regular watcher of the series, you know I'm not a huge fan of acrylic. I mean, it definitely serves its purpose, and we understand why it exists out in the world, and I have used it a time or two. I'm just not a big fan of it overall. Not quite sure if it just brings up a lot of my old, when I was a kid and I had a lot of, sensitivities to various yarns, but it's definitely one of those things that it tends to be a lot warmer and a lot itchier than the brands or I shouldn't say that, the fiber contents that I usually use. That being said, I am still perfectly capable of giving it a fair evaluation and, seeing how it does overall. Now, this is a very lovely color. It is called Amethyst. Yes, I am addicted to purple. Yes, deep purples are my favorite. In fact, I would say like a raspberry purple really is my best color. Like this is almost more of a royal purple or an amethyst, obviously. But like if it has just a little bit more of that red undertone instead of the blue, that's my color. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Now, if you're new to the channel, we are doing 2 crochet swatches. Each of them have 60 stitches in them. And those 60 stitches, the first one is going to be single crochet. The second one is going to be double crochet. That just gives us a little bit of a chance to work with the yarn and see how it works up, if it splits, if it frogs, okay, all that good stuff. It's just about giving it a little test here. I did review, of course, the information on Ravelry and on the Michaels website so that I could bring you a little bit of an overview of what they talk about. And I'm going to keep track here because as I get to talking, I lose count of how many rows I got, and that's a bad thing. Okay. Where was I? Oh, yes, Ravelry reviews. And Ravelry has, for this yarn, over 82,000 projects. So that is definitely one of the yarns that is a higher profile yarn on the site. And that is just for the solids. The Loops and Threads Impeccable line comes in a few different options. So that 82,000 was just for the solids. That's pretty impressive, I gotta say. Now, with those 82,000 projects, right around half, 40,000 of those were crochet. So it is pretty much an equal opportunity yarn in that crocheters and knitters like to work with this. And I would bet, actually, I didn't look to see the breakdown. You know what? I think there were fewer knitters, but it was only slight. And then, of course, there were some like weavers and other sort of things like that. So there might have been like 40,000 crocheters and like 38,000 were knitters, and then like 2,000 miscellaneous other things, something along those lines. Now, the reviews on the Ravelry site were not that great. There were about 7,000 reviews, and with that came 3.9 stars on Ravelry. Now, if you switch over to the Michaels website, there were over 28,000 reviews, and with those 28,000 reviews, that was a 4.7 rating. So considerably better on the Michaels website than it is on the Ravelry. Take that for what it is. I don't think that Michaels is bad about editing out the good or the bad reviews. I don't think they do that like some sites do. I think they keep it pretty clean and honest. I'm not quite sure why the rating is so dramatically different on Ravelry. But as I was looking up some of the feedback on Ravelry, one of the things, a couple of the comments that seemed to kind of play a little bit over and over again. One was that it's really splitty, and two is that it pills easily. Now, in this review, we don't kind of test for the pilling. I used to do a little bit of a friction test, but I don't think that that was a true, authentic sort of gauge of that, so I kind of dropped that. Well, if I'm being honest, I totally forgot about it because I kind of came up with a more standardized scoring system, and then I totally forgot about that as something that I could add in. Whatever. So for sure, this is not a review that's going to give you a wear test example. And it doesn't do anything for like bleeding. But one of the things, a lot of acrylic yarns, I gotta say, I don't find them to bleed as much as other yarns do. Let me know if you found something different there. So we're gonna step in here and do our little music montage as I work up the double crochet, and we'll be back with the scores shortly. We are done there with our double crochet swatch. And we'll set that down there, give you a little pretty display. Bring out our scorecard and see what we've got today. Okay, so our yarn is the Impeccable. Hook size is a 5mm. Listed weight is a 4. Actual weight is definitely a 4. All right, fiber content. So this is definitely a synthetic, and that's going to put us, I would say it's a higher quality acrylic. It's not, no, you know what? I think I do have to put it at the basic synthetic. So for fiber content, we've got a 2. I mean, it's not really bad, but it doesn't feel terribly plasticky. Which brings us to the feel. So it is definitely not soft. It's not sandpaper. It is, I would say this is a, I think a 3.5. It's a little bit better than just a standard kind of kitchen household item, but I wouldn't put it into the pleasant aspect either. So we're going to give that a 3.5. Now let's talk about colors. Holy moly. The Loops and Threads, just the solids, has over 75 different color options. That puts it into the 5 category. That is a lot. Now, I didn't get any splitting. I did read a lot of people talking about splitting. I did not notice any, and I don't get the sense from this that there would be a splitting issue. So I'm going to put it down below in the warnings and reviews, but I'm not going to deduct it from here. Stitch definition. It's not bad. It really isn't. Certainly this is a darker color yarn, and stitches tend to disappear in darker colored yarns. But I also don't say that this is going to be the cleanest, crispest kind of stitch definition. So let's put this at a 3.5. Drape. All right. Okay, can you see that? I'm holding it with one hand and it's standing straight up. Okay, this one, even though it fell over, it kind of went in a very C curve kind of thing. So it is definitely more of a structured, almost on the stiff side. So I'm going to put this at a 2.5. And you know what? That may not be a problem for you. It may be what you're looking for. But for what I'm looking for, I'm usually looking for something with more drape. On our fiber, or on our Frogability, it tugs a little bit. I've got a little fur in there. It does tug a little bit, but it's not terrible. We're going to put this as a 4. Now, washability, it's pretty bulletproof. There's not much you can do wrong with this. I believe you can even throw it in the dryer. Machine wash cold. Not exceeding 104. Well, I would actually put that as a warm. At a delicate cycle, tumble dry at a low heat. So this is a handle with care. We're going to put it at 4. Now let's talk about price. Now this is a really inexpensive yarn. The base price of it is $2.99 for this skein. And that, let me tell you, is online. If I go to my local store, it's $3.49. So you may want to check that and compare your Michaels, the local store, to what the online Michaels prices are, because I am noticing that some Michaels local stores are raising their prices. Just something to keep in mind. So at 285 yards, $2.99, this puts this into the ultra budget at just over 1 cent per yard. Super inexpensive. Okay. Let's cue the elevator music and do our math here. 33.5 divided by 9 comes out to 3.72. It actually did better than I expected. I am going to be doing a review, I believe, next month on the Big Twist value. If you're interested in seeing kind of a side-by-side comparison of some of the most popular acrylics, let me know and I can do a side-by-side comparison of those. I am doing one for the kitchen cottons, so I could probably sway myself to get one done for the acrylics as well. So that comes out as a 3.72. I would definitely buy this again, but it is not going to be my first purchase. I tend to prefer the Hobby Lobby's I Love This yarn a little bit more than the Impeccable. And I will link to my review of that one down below, but this is not a bad yarn by any means. Let me know what you think, and Farah, frog us out of here.